Welcome back, 412-575-2600 on the Borders and Borders hotline. Josh Taylor joined by Paul Zeise, live from the 93.7 The Fan studios. Minnesota making the 86th pick. That pick is in right now. It's yet to be announced. But, Paul, we double-checked during the break. Quinn Miners from Wisconsin Whitewater, offensive lineman. Also, we have another offensive lineman from Ohio State. Those are still both available on the board here. So we are looking at possible. Wyatt Davis is the player from Ohio State. So both of those players still available. Also, something to point out here. Patrick Jones, Pitt edge rusher, he's listed as the 6th best player available right now. Let's talk about this for a second. Round two's come and gone. We're in round 3. 3 Penn State players taken in the first 3 rounds. No Pitt, no West Virginia. Are you surprised that we haven't heard any Pitt names called yet, even though we're in round 3? And we know those pass rushers were supposed to be pretty good.
I'm not surprised. I'll be surprised if we get to the end of tonight without at least 1 or 2 of those guys going. I think they were all basically considered third-rounders at best. Maybe a couple of them could have slipped into the second round, but that's what they are, and that's okay. I think they're good players. I think they're going to have good careers. I mean, the guys that you talked about from Penn State that came off the board, Micah Parsons is a freak.
Yep.
Pat Freiermuth is like maybe one of the best tight ends in the country. These are guys that are legitimate, first-round type guys. But I think Pitt will have 5 or 6 guys picked by the end of it, and that's a good haul for them.
Yeah, and it's not like they're bereft of talent. I think it's just a matter of the best guys Pitt had available were not of the same, maybe not rated the same way as some of these other guys weren't. You mentioned it, Micah Parsons. The thing that probably chucked him down into the teens part of the first round was the fact that he opted out of last season. If he plays, he's probably a top 10 pick for all intents and purposes. But it does speak to at least the talent that we saw as far as Penn State's high talent level being as high as it is. And maybe Pitt's ceiling, as you mentioned, probably could have been some second rounders at best, but looks like we may see some in the third round. Let's go to the phone lines. We got Mike in Oakland on the line. I'm pretty sure I know what Mike wants to talk about. At least I usually do. Mike, you're in the Nightly Sports Call.
Josh, first of all, welcome back, my friend. I always usually call on a Saturday, but I have to I had to call you tonight with the draft going on, and we missed you. It wasn't the same without you, my friend, really.
I appreciate you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Good to be back.
No problem. Listen, I just want to actually talk Steelers. I don't really agree with Paul. Obviously this is a good tight end, but I think they should have taken that Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma. He hadn't given up a sack the last 2 seasons. Pouncey retired. We really need the center of the future. I think he would have been a tremendous second-round pick. And you know what? I just feel like the offensive line is so, in my opinion, dysfunctional. It was so terrible last year. I get there's some players left that could be taken, but I really feel like the Steelers missed a good center in that guy, and I think they should have taken him. Just want to get your thoughts. Anyway, take care, Josh. Welcome back, and we'll talk next week, my friend. Be well.
Mike, I appreciate you. Really kind words from him. Want to make a quick note before we answer Mike's question. Wyatt Davis, whom we just talked about from Ohio State, Vikings just took him with the 87th pick. The 86th pick. Steelers are on the clock right now at 87. To answer Mike's question, I am a guy who actually liked Creed Humphrey. I like the fact that there were a handful of centers available, Paul. The stat about him not giving up a sack, I might parse that one and say that may be a product of the system that he's in, playing in the air raid. You can weigh in on this one, but I get where Mike's going with this, though, at least.
Is there any part of any of these people that are really angry about the Steelers not getting an offensive lineman? Do they maybe concede that perhaps the Steelers think that J.C. Eisenhower is good enough at center? We haven't seen enough of them to know that, but these are guys that know what he's doing. And
or B.J. Finney for that matter.
Or Finney, but I think it'll be Eisenhower. Eisenhower would be the starter. And, Kevin Dotson is a big, strong dude. David DeCastro has been in the Pro Bowl. He had a tough year last year, but he was injured. I'm not saying they've got a great offensive line, but I'm not ready to say it's the worst in football like some of these people are saying.
I'm also ready to not go there, too. I don't think it's the worst in football. I think the fact that we're looking at the fact that they ran the ball so badly last year, or at least they were rated last in the league last year in rushing yards, I think that's kind of what clouds the evaluation of the offensive line. I will add this as well. One of the guys who you can probably look at as far as weak links go with the offensive line, Alejandro Villanueva. he's not re-signing with this team. It looks like he's, for all intents and purposes, gone. Everybody else besides Marquise Pouncey, who's retired, is pretty much sticking around. I think a lot of people like Zach Banner. At least they liked him when he was the eligible tight end from the offensive line. They liked him then. Do they like him right now at right tackle? I don't know. Do they like Chuks Okorafor at left tackle? I don't know. The Steelers seem to be very mindful of him. He got a lot of reps last year at right tackle. So it really does come down to how much faith, like you mentioned, do they have in the guys in-house, especially considering, like you mentioned, we haven't seen a lot of J.C. Hassenauer. We haven't seen B.J. Finney in a couple years. And granted, Zach Banner was out for most of the season with an injury. So there's that situation too. So it does come down to them knowing their guys better than we do. So maybe that's one thing that comes into it. If it seems like I'm kind of vamping a little bit, the Steelers are coming to the podium now to make their pick. But, Paul, just your thoughts on maybe them knowing a little bit more about their own guys than we do.
Well, again, I mean, their picks suggest to me that they have more faith in their guys than we do. Most people out here do. So, you know, that tells me they believe in Dotson and they believe in Hassenauer and they believe in Okorafor and Banner. So, you know, maybe they're right. I don't know. Time will tell us.
Okay, I got to point something out. The Steelers are announcing their selection right now. The guy making the announcement for the third-round pick, Franco Harris, announced the second-round pick. For the third pick, you'll know this name, Paul. Daryl DMC McDaniels from Run DMC making the announcement for the Steelers' third-round pick. That might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Just
is he wearing Adidas?
Yeah.
Is he wearing Adidas?
It looks like it because my childhood's on stage right now. The pick is official. Kendrick Green, a guard from Illinois, is the pick for the Steelers at number 87. There's that offensive lineman, Paul. There he is.
And everybody's going to scream and yell that they didn't get a tackle or a center. You know that's what's next. I mean, come on, right? Am I wrong?
You're probably not wrong. I can't even argue with it. John in Charlotte.
People are going to be upset.
Let's talk to John in Charlotte and see what he thinks. John, you're on the Nightly Sports Call.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. I just want to make two quick statements and I'll hang up. I understand how the Steelers are thinking value, you know, with the offensive picks, but I think if you look at how you win and lose games, it's in the trenches. And I just think if they would have took Jenkins and then Creed Humphrey, and then they could have had Sermon in the third round, running back from Ohio State, I think we'd have been looking a lot better. I'll hang up. What do you guys think?
Well, the only thing I have about that, let's assume for the sake of argument they would have taken Tevin Jenkins in the first round and maybe a guard or center in the second round. Looking at what's available now on the board at the skill positions, they just picked at 87, Paul. Is there anybody on the board at 87 that you would think would have been a good pick at this point as far as skill positions go that you think might make as much of an impact as a Najee Harris or Pat Fryermuth?
Everybody's excited. Isn't Trey Sermon still on the board?
I believe Sermon is still on the board from Ohio State, which I do like.
Everybody's excited about him, right? Everybody's still excited about him. But obviously,
for all
to
intents and
me,
purposes, he played well in big games. He was fantastic as far as the Big Ten schedule goes. He was really good in the playoff as well. So that's a thought you could have there as far as the third round. In the meantime, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up and we'll talk a little bit more about what we might see on day 3. But before we get to that, let's get to our tweet of the day. It comes from our buddy Mark Cavalli from The Athletic. He's got a really fun little photo here to show you. Of course, the Steelers took this photo of Najee Harris in the airport. Najee and Franco. Najee is on the left. Thank you, Mark, for pointing that out in case anybody was confused. First 2 Steelers running backs named Harris. We'll wrap up when we come back. Stick around.